this one, as you can see, she is pure white, right? So usually boxers are not pure white in color. Boxers, she is a boxer breed, and boxers are they are brindle in color, they are fawn in color, but not pure white. So usually pure whites are albinos. They are called albinos, and albinos are either born blind or deaf. So this it's a genetic disorder, not only in dogs, in the whole animal kingdom, that albinos are have some defect in them. Usually it's a deafness, or they are blind. So as you can see, she her name is Snowy, though she can't hear because she is white as the snow, and so she can't hear. So I have taught her a few commands with just sign language. So to make her notice me, I do this. Now this is sit, this is down, and this is stand. Good girl. And this is because this is the praise for her. She's getting good girl, good girl. Command I use for sit is this. Okay, this here my thumb is like this because here I'll be holding a treat or some reward for the dog, and then my hand will go down here like this. That is to go down. Thumb like this, down. Here will be a treat, and then again I pull the hand a little bit forward in this direction for her to stand. From down to stand. Sit, down, and stand. Without my sit, sit, she can't hear. Sit, Snowy. No response, right? So now I'll call her. Now I'll call her. This is for come. This is for sit. This is for down. And this is for stand. Good girl. Though she can't hear my good girl, but I'm touching her body and giving her love, praise, right? So that is rewarding for her. And I recommend people not to breed albino dogs. Albino because like there are chances of the genetic disorder being carried down, and maybe puppies being deaf or blind. And not all people are so happy to keep such dogs, right? They want a perfect companion. So yeah. Okay, so now let's talk about dogs who are physically disabled, or they have some genetic disorder or something like that. Okay, so as I was showing my dog earlier, who is an albino, who is deaf. So yeah, they have certain level of anxiety level because they can't hear certain things and all that. Okay, so but it's not that like we can't take care of them, or we can take care of them if we give them the right time and right love. Yeah, so I want to tell you like my life incident. Like I got once, I had a dog once, a golden retriever who was epileptic. Okay, so basically why I'm taking out this topic is because like epileptic dogs can be taken care. Okay, they have, but one thing is there that they need to be given medicine throughout their life. But if you provide them the right medication, they can live a good and healthy life. So so yeah, so and why I'm taking out this topic is another thing is me, when I got this dog, I was an amateur. I didn't know anything about dogs. I just went to one pet store and got the dog. So and usually epilepsy is a genetic disorder. If the parents have that genes in them, it's passed down to the younger generation. So I encourage people, I want to tell people that if you are buying a dog, you please buy it from a reputed good breeder who see these genetic disorders and don't allow such dogs to breed, and don't buy it from people who are just doing it for money making. And if you want to adopt a dog, that's more better. Dogs were meant to do certain tasks. Each breed was meant to do certain tasks, like German Shepherd, Border Collie, for example. They were meant to for herding the sheep, putting them in place. Whereas these Doberman, Rottweilers, they were bred to protect the owner. While boxers, they were used for bull baiting, hunting. So each dog has specific. So they are born with specific genes in them, specific mindset. So they they have some special character in them, which we utilize in training. Like see, it's easier to train a Rottweiler to guard than a golden retriever. For example, like to train a Labrador to guard, it's very difficult because they were never bred to do that. But when you mix a breed, what happens is these characters get mixed up, and you won't know what outcome is there, what we are getting out of a dog. So it becomes little tough. That's what I feel. But it's not. They are not. It's not that they are not trainable. Some mixed breeds are excellent dog. Maybe they acquired the good part of both the genes, right? So that can happen. If anybody asks me ABCD right now, we can say it so fluently, so comfortably, ABCD. And so because we learned that at a very early age, and then so the same way, if we teach a dog something at a very early age, the dog tends to catch it faster, and it becomes a fun activity for the dog. But now just imagine a 40-year-old guy. We give him book for the first time in his life, how stressed he'll be. But it's not that he won't be able to learn. He will be able to learn, but it takes time and it's much more stressful for the person or a dog. This is a simple ball, and but one thing about it, it's not breakable. When the dog bites it, it won't break. So you can use it for a long run. So this is one thing which we use for training. Okay. Get it. Good boy, my boy. Good boy. Good boy. These are treats. Which we can these are pedigree treats, but if you want to use your homemade treats, like whatever the dog likes, you can do that. This is a simple choke chain to keep the dog under control when you are taking him for a walk or anything. Dogs throat are not like ours. Okay, they are very strong. So hardy dogs like Rottweiler, we are talking about, like who are hard dogs. They are hard dogs. You take them out. You are not taking them for a walk. They are taking you for a walk. And another thing is, yeah, if the dog is trained from small with food or with treat, where we control the dog with food or treat, the dog will learn to walk properly. But as the dog grows, and usually us trainers, we don't get people realize that they need to train their dog only when the dog is out of control. So when they come, and definitely it's not that like I'll try and choke chains are not so bad actually. It just sounds like a choke chain because from a human perspective, but it's not so bad. So but when the dog comes to me for training, I try my best to distract them with the food, this, that, but not all, frankly speaking, not all dogs can be distracted with food, and they follow you. Just some dogs are not at all food interested, and some are ball interested, but it depends from dogs to dogs. You want this? It's the same way. So some dogs we have to hardy dogs where they don't care about you, and they are like just pulling you. Sometimes we have to choke them, and it's not like choke means they are out of breath. They just get like, oh, okay, what happened, kind of only for that thing. And this is just again, this is used for aggressive dogs, where they come and then you can't approach the dog. If you approach the dog, you might have a hand or a leg missing. So we put these on dogs so that they don't bite. No. And these are also used when you are taking a dog to airports, to train, just for the safekeeping of the other passengers. This is just a leash, I mean collar and leash, and yeah. So this is something like which we use for bite work. Like let me show you. So we can catch, hold it like this. We can put a hand across here, and so this is to save your hand. When your bite work is basically where you have channelized the aggression towards something, and then for your protection or for your safety. So when we are training the dog, we use all these so that the dog comes and bites over here, and your hand is safe. So this is for your safety, and yeah, this is for your safety. We don't have a bite suit yet. It takes a lot of money and time to get it in India. In India, it's not available. All whatever is available are very bad. If you use that, you will end up getting hurt by the dog. So yeah, so this is for the bite training. Okay.
Does that have a name? Protection or something?
Yeah, these are called sleeves, arm sleeves. And then this is a frisbee, like you just play with the dog to make the training more fun. Because my training is mostly fun, unless like we are doing some protection training where we have to be in certain level with the dog.
हेलो हेलो हाँ जी बोलिए हाँ जी बोलिए हाँ जी
Fight him! Fight! Fight him! Fight! 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 Fight him! Good boy! Fight! Fight! Okay, so this is an obstacle for dog training, like where the dog will climb up and come out of the other side, because like you know, when we are going for patrolling and when we are going to catch a thief or anything, like we won't know what obstacles a dog come through. So this is like this keeps the dog fit as well, because he's climbing, he's doing all sort of things, right? So this is it's an obstacle, it's an agility training as well, where the dog, it makes the dog quicker. This one was made by one of our carpenters. So I had this design in my mind, and I have seen certain videos, and where I was doing training and all that, we have done certain things, right? So keeping that in mind, I told the design to my carpenter, you need this, that. This is made of ply. This is made of ply, and it's the backing is given by thick wood, so that it's heavy. When the dog climbs in it, it should not fall down, wobble, or all that. This is a carpet. So that the dog's nails and all that are safer.
Come. Jump. Climb. Wait. Good boy. Slide. Yes.
As you can see, this is like a hurdle, like you have seen in Olympics and all that, right? Like people are jumping through it. So simple, like the dog will, it's another one of the obstacles where the dog will come, jump through it, go, and if he has to bite a person during the training, if he has to do anything, he will, whatever he is instructed, he will do that. So this is just a some obstacle where he'll jump through it and reach his destination or reach his goal. If the dog is, see, when we are training smaller dogs, and they won't be able to jump such heights, so we can open it as well, and we can. It's not a branded stuff, so it's a little bit. Yeah, on the local side.
Move in. Jump. Climb. Wait. Slide. Good boy.
So this is basically a dog bed, okay? Dog bed where dog sofa, dog bed, whatever you want to call it. So there where you want the dog to sleep, sit peacefully. Whenever you are you come out of you come to your house after a tired day, the dog comes to welcome you, and after a while you tell him to go and sit to this place. He'll go and do that, and then. Whenever guests come into your house, and then you don't want some guests love dogs, some don't. So we have various kind of guests. So for people who don't want to be bothered by the dog, you tell them to go and sit here, and where they won't bother anyone. So I'll show you an example, like where Axel, boy, good boy, come here, good, sit, good boy, super. So what you need to do now? You need to go to your place. Super boy. This is what I want when guests come in your house. I think you want the same thing. You would want the same thing when guests come to your house, right? So, Axel. Good boy. Axel, place. Good. Super boy. So what do you want now for doing the right thing? Huh? Good boy. Good. This super boy. I'm a dog trainer, not a nutritionist. Okay, so my dogs are healthy with what food I am giving them. Okay, so but I can't comment on what food is best for all the dogs. Okay, so. My fooding is I make I mix a little bit of dal, a little bit of rice, lot of veggies, okay, and then we have our chickens over there, and then who gives us eggs, okay, so we boil those eggs and mix that as well, and at the we make a khichdi out of it, and then we add some kibbles from top. I'm not saying kibbles are bad or anything, but see. If you have time and if you can know that, like, okay, what all things if you add are good for the dogs, then why don't you cook it, like because we just imagine we having packet foods every day, what will happen to us, right? So but I might be wrong as well, because as I told you, I am not a nutritionist, but the food which I am giving my dogs, you have seen my dogs in the videos and all that, so they look, I feel they look healthy, they are strong, and they are good. Dog training and dog behavior is it's related in many ways, okay, but the profession it's little different. Means when we talk about training dogs, we are training them to do training a dog to do specific tasks, task related things, where like, or domesticating a dog where the dog is okay being around people in the society. Right now we need that, right? So training is basically teaching dog for a specific task. Behavior is something where we are trying to monitor the mental state of the dog. Behaviorist, you can say, in dogs is like psychologist of dogs, which I am studying. I'm doing online courses for that. Okay, but both are related, but they have their differences. So usually dogs tuck their tail when they have the feeling of they are scared, they are frightened of something, or yeah. So basically, they are stressed, they are frightened, they are. It shows they are scared. See, sniffing around and circling is again two different things. Okay, sniffing around, they find something interesting to smell, they sniff around. Circling can be like it's related to like see, when they supposingly the dog is healthy, fine, nothing is wrong with the dog. So if they are circling before pooping, so basically they are trying to find a good spot, and then I don't know whether it's scientifically proven or not, but it seems they tend to sometimes the magnetic poles are there, na? So they want to align the thing with their potty, and yeah, and they circle before sitting down as well. So they are just finding a comfortable place. But again, sometimes circling can be related with OCD. Even dogs have obsessive compulsive disorder, where something is stressing them out and they go around in circles. So that is related to again stress. So it depends on the like what mindset the dog has at that moment. If the dog is healthy, if it's not stressed and all that, yeah, so yawning can be related to some tiredness, boredom, okay. But again, yawning also it can be related to stress, where they see as something as a threat or something, and then they yawn and ignore it. But yawning is not like they are going after it. They see a threat, but they don't want to get involved in that threat. It can relate to that as well. I'll just tell you the myths of howling. Okay, so somebody is about to die, they have seen an evil spirit and all that. Those are all myths. Howling is related to like the dog sometimes wants your attention, and it's if you keep my puppy inside a cage or something, in a while it gets frustrated and starts howling. Like he's calling, he's trying to say I don't want to be here. And when adult dogs howl and all, it's related to some high pitch sound which they hear. Breeds like Siberian Husky, who have more of the wolf thing in them. The, howling is how they communicate also with each other. Dogs don't have sweat glands like us. Okay, so they pant to reduce their heat in the sea. When we sweat, when we feel hot, what we do is our body sweats and our body cools down, right? Same way dogs, not same way, means the same procedure where they pant, they take out their tongue, the saliva comes out, the water comes out of the thing, and that's how they cool their body. But again, panting can be related to stress as well. So that is they are being vulnerable, they are being comfortable with you. They don't want to expose their belly with any other person. Usually they only do that with their owners or whom they are just being like, okay, you can do anything to me, I trust you, kind of a thing. dogs are not very hard to understand. Like how they have understood us in these, see, they have developed their mindset according to human beings. The same way actually we can understand them as well. So if a dog is sick, it will show signs. It won't be so active. It will have it might be sleeping more. Like if you feel the dog, it might be more little bit body temperature might be more, and all that. It's not so hard to predict dogs. And like if you love your dog, if you give enough time to your dog, you can easily understand them. That's what I feel. I think in India there is no, we don't require license to start our, even if you don't have a certification also, if people are, if you are a good dog trainer and if people are trusting you, I think you can go ahead with it, but you need a license for breeding. In Northeast, people still need to be educated regarding dogs, and in Northeast, dogs are still like where their only job is to bark at strangers when they come, and that's it, right? So that due to that, my customers are lesser. So and if it's not working out, they'll just leaving the dog somewhere. That's not only Northeast, that's everywhere.